They're called the Tren twins. It's not sarcastic. It's not an oxymoron. They're not saying, hey, we're 100% natural. We're going to call ourselves the Tren twins just to be cool. No, they're actually on Tren and a cooked load of it. Coach Greg, and boy, do I have an exciting video for you today. It's on the Tren twins, and are they in fact natural? When did they start? Could you achieve this natural? How strong are they now versus then? These guys been blowing up both literally in size and strength and in subscribers. They had no subscribers. Now they have hundreds of thousands in only a matter of a few months. Everyone loves these guys, love to follow them, and they're very interesting. And I know you're thinking, well, Coach Greg, what a stupid video. They're literally called the Tren twins. But many people think, yeah, that's a joke. They're only on HRT. Or they're in fact 100% natural. Are you kidding me? And so, spoiler, of course they're not natural. And so they posted a video 2 months ago, full transformation, 225 to 475. Now listen, they're about 22 years of age, been lifting for 8 years, meaning they started at about 14. And at this age, they are 17. So I do believe they probably benched 225 at the age of 14. And in comparison, at age 13, I benched 232. And so I was actually ahead of them. But I started at 10. And so I'm going to be comparing the Tren twins to Coach Greg, who I do believe have amazing genetics. And so you can debate me whether or not I have great genetics, because I know I'm a short little manlet, but I do have an all-time world record in the bench press, which is what these guys specialize in. And I'm an IB pro bodybuilder, and so it did pretty good. And so we see photos of them bench pressing age 17, 300 pounds. At age 17, I benched 293, and so very comparable to Coach Greg. And I was, in fact, 100% natural at that point. These guys, however, are 170 pounds, and I was only in the 140s. And so already they have over 20 pounds more muscle than I did, even though I'd been training since then, and they started at age 14. And so it's my personal belief that although I do believe they have exquisite genetics, as in better than 99.9% of the population, I still think at age 17, they were not natural. I don't believe these guys were natural at this point, and I do believe they were taking SARMs. They were training for a powerlifting competition against a rival school, and there was no drug testing, and they ended up winning, bench pressing 335 pounds. And so at age 17, already winning powerlifting competitions, bench pressing 335 pounds, and then that thing hit where they could no longer travel to gyms, but they trained at home. And so think of this, they were only 18 years old during that pandemic. That is how young these guys are. And so just look at the physiques of these guys. At the age of 17, 18 years of age, they looked absolutely incredible. Certainly don't have normal looking physiques for that of a natural 17-year-old. And even with enhancements, these physiques are very impressive. And so age 19, back to training out of the gyms, weighing in the 180s. Look at these guys. Absolutely remarkable, but I don't believe it's natural. Sorry. And so I do believe that they do cycle on and off, that they take breaks. There are certain periods of times when they're stronger, certain periods of times when they're weaker. And that is a lot healthier than blasting all the time. One thing that people do when they're young oftentimes is they don't want to go off. You see the gains, the increases in strength and size, and you don't want to stop. And so you can see first 405 bench attempt at only 19 years of age, weighing 185 pounds. Age 20. The boys bulked up 195, and what that means, it's code for blasting gear. When people say bulked up, many people assume it means they went on a bulk, as in they ate a calorie surplus. It's not what they mean. They mean bulked up as in they just blasted a bunch of gear. Do they look like they put on a ton of body fat? No, they look like they've jacked up a lot of size. They're way bigger than they were. They for sure, without question, would have used performance-enhancing drugs to get to this physique. And does it surprise you? They're called the Tren twins. Literally. And have you seen their most recent bench with Larry Wheels? They're both benching well over 500 pounds. Oh, but they're natural. They're just blasting steroids and super short. I wouldn't say freak genetics. They're both bench pressing over 500 pounds, close to the world record, but no, it's not impressive in the slightest. It's average genetics. Do you see any damn 21-year-olds benching 500 cookbook pounds? No, even on Tren, that's cookbook absurd. Of course it's amazing genetics. Just because someone's short doesn't mean if they bench press over 500 pounds that it's just okay. Being short doesn't make you good at the bench press. Being strong and massive does. Their bods aren't even that impressive. What freak genetics are y'all seeing? They just look like regular gear abusers, just puffy. The sad reality is that 99% of people that would take every single steroid they could take at age 21 would not look this big nor be this strong. And so regardless of how much you take, how much you blast, most likely not going to get as strong as these guys. The average steroid user could use PDs for 10 years and not be as strong or as big as these guys at age 21. And so, yeah, they do have amazing genetics. They've never claimed Natty, they're super open about their use, and call themselves the Tren twins. I mean, what more do they have to do? They're called the Tren twins. It's not sarcastic. It's not an oxymoron. They're not saying, hey, we're 100% natural. We're going to call ourselves the Tren twins just to be cool. No, they're actually on trend and a shitload of it. Even Seth Rosie likes this guy. And why? Because they're blasting gear just like he did. He's like, I love it. I love watching these guys. They're psychopaths like me. They don't care about their health. They just want to bench press more than freaking last time. And have you seen their form? They're maxing out all the time. They're going to failure. They're hurting their chest, pulling it. And how long before these guys pull a tech? How long before their blood work comes back so bad that they can't keep going? Remember Boston Lloyd? Remember him? Well, he's no longer with us, unfortunately. And you know why? Because he abused performance-enhancing drugs for that long. These guys, they remind me of Boston Lloyd. Yeah, they look impressive, but have you seen how strong they've gotten lately? They were bench pressing 405 in June. 7 months later, they're both benching well over 500 pounds. You don't put 100 pounds on your bench when it's already at 405 when you're doing so 100% natural. It doesn't work like that. They'd be lucky to gain 10, 20 pounds per year. You think their bench press continues to go up by being off? No, they're blasting gear and blasting more gear than friggin' last time. And so what people do is they cover it up. We went on a bulk, we went on a cut. We're bulking. And so that's why our bench press went up so much while we got leader and gained 20 pounds of muscle. Oh, look, I went on a cut. Look at my skeleton face. Meanwhile, your body fat's 12 to 15%. It's normal. Looks about the same when you bulk as when you cut. The only difference is your muscles get that much bigger when you're on steroids. And yes, your face looks a lot of moon face and puffiness. And so in some photos, when you're probably off cycle, you guys look young, perhaps 20 to 22 years of age. And when you're on cycle, to me, look in your 30s because of the water retention from D-ball, test, and so on, making you look far older. These guys do not look like your typical 21-year-olds. They look far older because of the water retention from the anabolic steroids. And so one thing you got to give them props for, they are training hard. They're oftentimes training to failure and beyond. But at what cost? I know they like to powerlift, but you don't need to go for 1 rep maxes all the time because eventually you're going to get hurt. I competed in powerlifting competitions. I've done over 70. That's a lot of competitions. And one thing you will learn is that you don't need to max out all the time in order to improve your bench press. You need to progressive overload, but you can do so in more ways than simply going for a 1 rep max. If you keep going for 1 rep maxes, especially with the form displayed while training with Larry Wheels, it's inevitable you are going to get injured. One thing I would strongly recommend is they start pausing their bench presses. The touch and go action that I'm seeing, that is when you're going to get hurt. You're rebounding the weight off the chest. You're getting the stretch reflex. That is the most likely time you're going to injure your chest. If you lighten the weight and don't ego lift and pause the weight on the chest, which is something you have to do in a powerlifting competition, far less likely to get injured. Also, please wrap your thumbs around the bar. Doing a thumbless grip, it's a recipe for disaster. Oftentimes your wrists get weak, push up, weights dumped on your chest or worse on your neck, and you're no longer with us. Not worth the risk, people. Middle of age 21, the boys take a break from powerlifting and seriously drop weight, leading to loss of strength. AKA, we're going off cycle because it's time to get healthier. And so people don't oftentimes want to tell the truth. Yeah, we're going on a cut. We're not bulking now. We're losing all our strength. Time to get off the trend, try to get our blood work back in order. And so we're going to lose strength. But of course it's going to come back as soon as you go and start blasting all over again. And so look at these guys. Do they look shredded? Do they look like their testosterone levels would be lowered? If they were actually natural and they cut to this extent, do you really think that would crush your natural testosterone production? Do they look like they're single-digit body fat? Of course not. They have a ton of muscle, they're still strong, and guess what? They look their age. Do they not actually look better here? I think they look far better, far younger, more youthful. And they have impressive physiques. Why would they need to take steroids? Look at these physiques. And so definitely got leaner, but not to the point of entering a bodybuilding competition. We're not talking single-digit body fat. We're talking a healthy, maintainable weight that they could maintain year-round. Getting back to powerlifting and regaining bench strength. That's code for going back on cycle and gonna get friggin' strong yet again. Look at their physiques. They still look incredible. They're still retaining a lot of size, but they're not monstrous. They don't look shocking as you see them. You're thinking, yeah, that could in fact be achieved natural. Back to hitting 405, and just look at these two guys. In fact, in these two photos, if you showed me this and said, Natty or not, I'd say, I think it's just amazing genetics. 405, although absolutely incredible, only 21 years of age, benching 405, I think they could have done this natural. And so he says skeleton face, but that's only in comparison to moon face, bloat face from abusing PDs. It's not a skeleton face, it's a normal face. I mean, already, just look at the changes. Look how much more muscle they put on. And 450, actually easy. One guy, in fact, presses 475 pounds.
What can I say? I'm anabolic as fuck. I'm naturally enhanced. Naturally enhanced.
And so they're BSing. It's a joke. These guys are on Tren. You know it. Everyone knows it. They're not trying to be fake naturals. And so these guys, they remind me of younger, less tan versions of the Barbarian Brothers. Perhaps in a couple years when they add even more muscle, they'll be as big as those guys. They're intense guys, had insane amounts of muscles. And no, they weren't natural. And he benches 475, immediately holds the chest. Tweaked it a little bit. These are such intense sets on steroids, which is going to make it even more likely to get injured. And so you gotta be careful. It's so close to being torn here. And no, when you don't get a lift, you don't do attempt 2. When you go for your 1 rep max and you miss it, it's better to call it a day, save it for next time. Even if you get it, the chances of an injury, it's just not worth it.
Chips Ahoy. This one looks amazing. Oh, we was both reaching for that shit. I'm gonna just go ahead and let's start here.
And so, of course, they're now eating junk food. You're going to bulk up, and that's why they're so strong. Listen, people, if you actually think these guys are natural, you probably also thought that the Liver King was natural, and how did that turn out? And so since this video, they collab with Larry Wheels, both of which were bench pressing over 500 pounds, and considering my all-time world record, 529, they're very close to that. Perhaps they'll break these records one day. They're very impressive. And so remember, they're getting so much dopamine from the increase in subscriber count, more views. They're getting super popular. Everyone's cheering for these guys. People love them. And they're getting bigger, they're a reflection in the mirror, more muscle, increased strength, more followers, more money. And so how are they ever going to stop? You get addicted to these gains, and although steroids, they're technically not addictive, the results, the feelings you get from them are, and so I certainly hope this doesn't end badly. I hope they don't tear their pecs, or worse, hope they're getting their blood work. And remember, just because these guys got this much size and strength from using PDs doesn't mean that you will. And don't think that just by abusing test and Tren, you're going to be the next social media star. Today's day and age, people seem to take steroids more so for popularity than they even do about increasing athletic performance. I don't know if these guys even compete in powerlifting competitions. They did in high school, but I haven't seen them even compete one single time in a legit powerlifting competition. Although they're extremely strong, extremely gifted, I don't know if that's their goal. I think they just want to be social media stars. Let's just blast Test and Trent. We'll take 20 years off our life. And if it's worth it for them, fine. Never break the law and only use PDs with the advice and consent from your doctor. Let me know in the comments section, is there a single person out there that thinks that these guys are actually natural? I watched Natty or Nots and these guys. I did a lot of research before that, and people were actually saying the guys were natural. There was a short. Guy said, oh, yeah, they have a lot of size, but, well, look at the guy's core. It's not shredded, doesn't have a six-pack, and so maybe he's natural. And so the Tren twins, they have amazing genetics, amazing supplements, amazing work ethic, and so these are the results. I'd say perhaps 1 in 1,000 chosen guys with great genetics could achieve these kind of results with performance-enhancing drugs. For the most part, most people taking PEDs, they're not going to bench nearly this much, and although they're manlets like Coach Greg, the strength that they possess, it's far superior to the average person, even those who take steroids. And please, before taking steroids, or if you're on a diet, you're looking for increased athletic performance, please try Ecti Builder or G-Test or 3-Test first. You want to optimize everything that you can do naturally before you go this route. These guys are way too young. They shouldn't be on PEDs, but I get it. The pressure to look amazing on social media, to try and look better than your peers. Today's social media standards, they've gotten so high, it's hard for people to stay natural. And so if you're interested, use code GREG, 10% off. You can get test boosters, Seco bars, protein powders, pre-workouts, the cookbooks, so much going on. 10% off, code GREG. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment for your algorithm. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it. Watch the tube loops. Follow me on Instagram, Greg Doucette IB Pro. Code GREG, 10% off. Cookbooks, training books, the Circle Diet Book, coaching plans by me and my team, phone consults. And until next time, I am out.